I think that everybody knows that I'm probably not the most sensitive guy at times. Everybody knows I've been through a little trauma here recently. And, the old saying, once bitten, twice shy. And, since we're talking about relationships, that's not always the case because some people, once they get bitten, they like it and they're not shy about it at all twice. Hello. This isn't the Rex Bear Show. This is New Cosmic Knowledge. And we're usually much more serious than that. And who knows, maybe we're too serious around here at times, and makes you want to ask the question, why so serious every now and then? But I want to talk about something that comes out of the twin flame genre, and we're going to extrapolate it because, I'm not so sold on the whole twin flame thing. But there's lessons to be learned, and I'm not saying it can happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying it don't happen. I'm just saying, you know what? I'm not sure about that kind of stuff anymore. But there's some lessons to be learned, and someone sent me a great article about twin flames and about this runner syndrome. And I want to reference that, and I want to talk about that, and I want to make sure that I give everybody their complete credit so I don't get in any trouble anymore with YouTube. So what I'm going to be talking to you about is I'm going to be commenting, and I'm going to be reacting to an article from Spiritual Unite, and the article's entitled Twin Flame Runner Soul Shock, Why It's Important. Let me turn that off a little bit. Why it's important. And if we don't care about twin flames, why is it important? Well, there's some things that can apply to us across the board on this, I think. And there's some interesting things that we can apply throughout relationships and even just within our spiritual lives. And I think it'll be a worthy discussion. Now, if you know anything about twin flames, one of the parts of the lore, I call it, of twin flames is that there is always a runner. There's a person that takes off, a person that can't handle it, a person that runs, and there's supposed to be a person that chases as well. And I guess from what I'm understanding from reading this article, and I'm doing this almost cold, but there's the person that's known, obviously if there's one that's known as a runner, there's one that's known as a chaser. And evidently, ladies and gentlemen, the chaser experiences something known as soul shock. But that makes sense. You're in a relationship. Somebody says, I'm out of here. I'm not doing it anymore. They run. Even if they make you run, they run from the relationship. And that person that gets chased or the person that is chasing or gets pushed, one or the other, either way, you're actually still chasing the one that wants out of the relationship. Everyone can understand that person's trauma. They just got left. They just got dumped. They just got, run away from. So everyone can understand their trauma. And supposedly within twin flame lore, this is called soul shock. But what I found very interesting in this article is that they talk about the person that is the runner also suffering from soul shock. And this begins to interest me. This begins to interest me because it does seem a bit counterintuitive, because you would think that the person that's running from the relationship, that's a sign that they don't care as much as the one that's willing to stay in the relationship. But is that really true? And does it have to be a twin flame relationship? Does it have to be a romantic relationship at all? Could it not be within the relationship of ourself and our higher self? Do we sometimes run and make our higher self, quote unquote, chase us? And why do we run? Soul shock for twin flames, this article says, is like heartbreak on steroids. It occurs when the twin flames are separated and stems from the literal tearing apart of their shared soul, quote unquote. It's like deep level anxiety that your soul will never be whole again. And again, this goes back to part of the problem with the whole soul flame, twin flame. Is there such a thing as a soul flame? Did I just create a new genre? That's part of the problem with the whole twin flame genre, is that if you're going to be divine and sovereign and free, and if someone leaves you, you can never be whole again, that doesn't sound like you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free to me. That sounds like you're enmeshed. Doesn't sound like something that would be from the divine to me. But that's just my take on it, and I hope that maybe you can find that interesting. So it's obvious that the chaser experiences the shock because despite their best efforts, they've been rejected and the relationship seemingly is over. But is it possible that the runner is experiencing soul shock as well? And is it possible that that shock is what drives them to run? Maybe the fact that the runner has taken a look in the mirror and realized, I don't have what it takes to do this. Maybe the fact that the runner has looked in the mirror and got scared to death. Maybe the fact that the runner has looked deep within and realized, uh-oh, my well's empty. Maybe the runner realizes, uh-oh, I'm in way over my head and I can't keep up appearances anymore. Maybe the person that's running has just as much shock, perhaps even more, as the person that is called the chaser. And we're going to talk about that chasing here in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. But I think it's important to understand that both people, whether they be runner or whether they be chaser, quote unquote, are both experiencing some shock, soul shock, as it's called within the twin flame lore, within the twin flame mythos. And this article says that soul shock is important to a twin flame relationship. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe there is a twin flame relationship. Maybe there isn't. But perhaps soul shock is important to any type of a relationship. And perhaps soul shock is important to the relationship between you and your higher self. Because until you get to the place where you realize, whoa, I am not going to be happy. I am not going to be fulfilled. I am not going to reach my great basic purpose. I'm going to be a shell of myself until I wake up and realize and do the hard work and fix and quit faking and quit clowning and quit trying to put on one face to the world and not like the face I see in the mirror, until I realize, until I have the shock that, ooh, I'm not really what I thought I was. I'm not really what I'm presenting to people. Until we get to that place of that shock, we can't really move into authenticity. We've got to get to the place where we can take an honest look at ourselves. So soul shock is important, regardless of whether it's important to a twin flame relationship, regardless if there is such thing as a twin flame relationship. Soul shock's important, yo, because we've got to get to that place where we realize, whoa, I'm not who I thought I was. Whoa, I'm not at the place I thought I was. Whoa, I'm not nearly as developed as I thought I was. Whoa, I can't fake this anymore. You know, they say fake it till you make it, but there comes a time where you got to either be made or you're going to be exposed. So until we get to that place of soul shock, we're going to keep running. And if you're running from your own higher self, if you're running from your own masculine, if you're running from your own sacred feminine, until you get to the place of soul shock, until you run into that brick wall and turn around, you're not going to be able to get yourself together. You're going to be a hot mess. And it may look like you got it together on the outside. It may look like you're doing good on the surface. It's kind of like the swan on the lake. On top, it looks like everything's just calm and cool and so majestic, but underneath, those feet are going like hell. Where are you? I don't care if you're a runner in a twin flame relationship or if you're a runner from your own twin flame relationship with you and your higher self. Are you a runner, and have you got to soul shock yet, and what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So when it's all said and done, we should have a little more compassion, I think, on the runner in any relationship, because they may say they're running because they don't like your breath, or they may say they're running because you don't make enough money, or they may say that they're running because of you did this or you didn't do that. But probably deep down in there, there's a more reality of they're running from something that they perceive as a lack within themselves as well. It's at least as potential a possibility as the fact that they're running because you don't lift the toilet seat when you go to the bathroom. Okay? So when you get run away from, try to have compassion and understanding towards the person that is running away from you. Because at the end of the day, you can't control that runner. And you don't want to control that runner. You don't want to be with somebody you've got to put in a corral. You don't want to be with somebody you got to put into a cage. If you're with somebody that's going to run, best to let them run, cousin. Because you don't want to be the one that's always got to be watching. You don't want to be the one that's always got to be containing. You don't want to be the one with the rope trying to hog tie. You don't want to do that. And the best thing is, if they're going to run, let them run. Let them run. Don't chase them. Don't try to go after them, which is the same as chasing them, but I ran out of language. Just don't chase them. Let them go. Don't call them. Don't text them. Don't do what you got to do I apologize, do your part, but let them go. Because as long as you chase them, you're going to keep them from getting to that place of soul shock. What happens to you when you run away from your great basic purpose? What happens to you when you run away from your higher self? What happens to you when you run away from father or mother? Do they chase you down? I'll wait. No, they don't. That's the answer. Remember the story of the prodigal son? Prodigal son goes off on his way, leaves the father. Prodigal son's running, doing all sorts of silly, stupid stuff. And one day, the prodigal son, and do you think it's a coincidence that he was feeding pigs? And I know a lot of you Bible scholars, the Jews didn't like pigs. And no, it has nothing to do with Jews. Got nothing to do with that. The fact of the matter is that he was there amongst the pigs. And where was father? Where was his mother? They weren't, oh, son, please come back. They weren't outside the pig pen. They weren't, oh, son, we want you back. Oh, son, we miss you so badly. He wasn't getting, pinged by father and mother on his device. Oh, please come back, son. Please come back. No, he wasn't getting that. He was in the pigsty by his damn self. What does that tell you? Think about it a little bit. Some of you will get this if you think about it. What did the master say? Jesus, the Lord, Messiah, Yeshua, whatever you call him, if he did exist. What does the message, which is the important thing? Because even Jesus, if you believe in him, said, everything about my life doesn't matter. It's the words that I speak that are spirit and truth. But he said, don't cast your pearls before swine. You never thought about it in that way, did you? That's what I'm here for. To help you think about things that you never thought about before. To help you consider things in ways in which you've never considered them before. That's why I'm here. That's what I do. Let the runner run. And let the runner get to the place where they're hanging out in the pigsty. Literally, spiritually, physically, whatever. Let them get to the place where they are in the pigsty. Because what happened to the prodigal son when he was in the pigsty? Mama wasn't trying to rescue him. Daddy wasn't trying to rescue him. They weren't texting him. They weren't emailing him. They weren't sending him care packages. They weren't bailing him out. They weren't patting him on his little head and saying, please come back. And, they weren't wiping the pig mess off of his little face. No, they let him be. They were not casting their pearls before swine. You run, go ahead and run. I'm not chasing you. I'm not following you. But that's so cold and so cruel. Don't you care? What if not chasing? What if not running after? What if not trying to rescue? What if not trying to bail out? What if not trying to text and email? What if you're not sending cards and letters? What if that's really the most loving way to do it? Because what if the runner's got to get to the place of soul shock? And what if the runner has to get to that place where the prodigal son, in the midst of the pigsty, I'm just counting words, 5 words he said. It says, and he came to himself. He realized himself. She realized herself. Wow. I beeped up. I messed up. I'm in the pigsty. And until you love that person enough to let them be in the pigsty, until you love that person enough to let them run until they get to the end of their rope, they'll never come to the place of soul shock, and they will never come to themselves. She will never come to herself. He will never come to himself as long as you're chasing and pleading and rescuing and bailing out. Let the runner run. I don't care if it's twin flame. I don't care if it's no flame. I don't care if it's soulmate. I don't care if it's first date. Let them run. Have compassion. Have understanding, but have enough compassion and understanding to compassionately understand that you're not doing them any favors by bailing them out. You're not doing any favors by chasing them down. It'll give you much more spiritual contentment, and it will help them to complete a spiritual journey that they've got to complete on their own. And he came to himself, and she came to herself. Not, and he finally chased her down. Not, and she finally caught up to him. No. He came to himself, and he came to himself, and she came to herself. That's the only way. I don't care whether it's relationships. I don't care whether it's anything that has to do with spirituality. Until a person comes to themselves, until a person comes to a truth, until a person comes to a reality by himself, by herself, it's not real, it's not valid, it's not genuine, it's not true. You can't guide somebody else's spirit. You can't master somebody else's ascension. You can't be somebody else's guru. Not really. And you can't do somebody's inside job. You can't create somebody else's self. You can't unindoctrinate anybody else. You can't ask their questions. You can't question their answers, not their own inside their own head. And if you're running from the divine, if you're running from your own twin flame experience, you don't have to wait until you're in the pig pen, my friend. You can wake up, look around, and say, yeah, I don't have to go to the pig pen. I got it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to complete my union of sacred feminine and sacred masculine. I'm going back to my own twin flame with my higher self. I'm going to do it. I'm through running. I know Father's not going to chase me. I know Mother's not going to chase me. They're patiently waiting for you to decide what you're going to do and have the spiritual tenacity, have the discipline to let the runner run until they run out of road, until they run out of rope, and they find themselves hanging by it. That's the only way to save them. That's the only way to serve them, because You can't save them. They got to save themselves. You can't serve them. They got to serve themselves. You can't get it for them. It's not until he came to himself or she came to herself. So have compassion for the runner and let him run. You do what you can do. You take care of you, and you let them take care of them. And if you're running from your own higher self, then you know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is New Cosmic Knowledge. And I don't think there's really much left to say about that other than we are the last generation of real humans. Let's get busy.